A landmark mission to the Arctic's last ice area is underway, and a Manitoba scientist is part of the team hoping to unlock some of the area's secrets. David Babb is a sea ice scientist at the U of M and is currently on board Canada's icebreaker research vessel, the Edmondson. He joins us now live from there to talk more about his mission. David, good to speak with you.
Hi, Maralee. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm curious to hear more about the area you're currently in because it's pretty unique, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you look at a map of Canada, we are all the way about as far north as you can go in Canada. We're up at about 80 degrees north, sailing through an area that's known as the Queen Elizabeth Islands. It's a very remote area. It's a couple 100 kilometers north of the nearest community. And yeah, this area has historically been inaccessible to ships. And so we are the first sort of scientific mission to cover these waters, and we're spending 4 weeks up here.
I'm guessing it's inaccessible because I understand this area is known as a place where the ice never melts. Just how cold is it there?
Yeah, right now it's about -10 today. We've already had a few snowstorms. We're preparing for a blizzard early next week, so a little bit different than what it's like in Winnipeg at this time of year.
All right. You are one of 37 scientists taking part in this mission. Tell us a bit about what you're all doing there.
Yeah, so the Amundsen is a research icebreaker that is run by the Canadian Coast Guard, and it has never worked in this area before. The Amundsen spends about 5 months every summer doing research across the Canadian Arctic, so all the way from James Bay, Hudson Bay, to the Beaufort Sea, through Baffin Bay. It works near Inuit communities. It does a whole bunch of work across the Arctic, and it's never been here. And so this year, a group from the University of Manitoba and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans Canada are leading a leg, which is 28 days on board the ship, and like you said, 37 scientists. And we are trying to provide a baseline survey of this area. So we are studying everything from the sediments at the bottom of the sea floor, everything through the water column, the sea ice that's at the top, and are also focusing on the glaciers in the area as well that, of course, discharge water into the waterways.
What are you hoping to learn from the data you collect?
Yeah, this area is really a gap in our understanding of the Canadian Arctic. We know bits and pieces from satellites and various winter campaigns that people have run over the years, but we just really don't know what is happening in this area. And so we're trying to fill in that gap and explore some new areas. Part of the area has been deemed a marine protected area by the Canadian government, and so we're trying to provide baseline observations for that marine protected area. And also this area is home to what we call the last ice. So this is where the thickest ice in the Arctic Ocean accumulates every year. And as a result of those processes, this area is going to be home to the last ice in a warming Arctic. So this is where sea ice, and specifically the habitat that sea ice provides to ice-dependent species in the Arctic, this is where that habitat is going to remain in place. And so we're trying to understand that ice and sort of guide some of these projections on what the future has in store for this area.
All right, very important research clearly being done. You're about halfway through this expedition. I'm curious what the experience has been like for you, and maybe what stands out the most so far.
I think the takeaway so far has been the breathtaking size of the glaciers in the area. We're currently spending the day in front of a glacier known as Cannon Glacier. This is the third glacier that we visited on this trip. And as a sea ice scientist, I spend a lot of time on ships and in helicopters landing on sea ice that's just a few meters thick. These glaciers are gigantic. They're standing 20 meters above the water line, which means they extend for, potentially hundreds of meters below the water line. It's quite remarkable to see.
Speaking of remarkable, your team has sent us some amazing photos and videos of the work you're doing there. And one photo in particular stood out to me, a creature I didn't even know exists, which is called a sea angel. We're looking at photos of it right now. I guess this is just part of some of the environment that you're dealing with and some of the unique creatures that call it home.
Yeah, one of the things that the ship does is we tow quite a few different nets. We try to characterize the species that are present in the area. These are things that you can't observe unless you're actually here on the water, getting your hands wet. So yeah, this is one of the big outcomes from this cruise, is understanding exactly what is living in the water here.
Well, David, it is fascinating research. I want to thank you for sharing it with us. And for all those watching, you can follow David and his team live online at data.admonson.ulaval.ca. David, good luck on the rest of your work. Can't wait to hear and see what else you guys dig up.
Great. Thank you very much, Maralee.